to look like Napheesa Collier is in serious hot water after lying on Caitlin Clark on national. A word on the street is that Caitlin Clark, did not want Cheryl Reeve as her coach. At least that's what we all suspected. That's what we all thought. And that, my friends, was the narrative moving forward. Well, I'm here to tell you, Napheesa Collier just told on herself. I mean, she exposed herself as a liar, bro. I mean, she just let the cat out the bag. Well, me and Caitlin actually talked about this before the ESPN special, and I text Caitlin Clark and told her I want my coach, which means to tell me that Cheryl Reeve probably did not want to coach Caitlin. Yeah.
Hold up. Before we get swept away by another carefully crafted narrative, let's pump the brakes on this fairy tale that's been floating around the basketball stratosphere. Napheesa Collier wants you to believe she's the puppet master behind the most seismic coaching swap in WNBA All-Star history.
Caitlin Clark was supposed to be coached by Minnesota Lynx head coach Cheryl Reeve. Napheesa Collier was supposed to be coached by New York Liberty head coach Sandy Brondello. They swapped coaches. Cheryl Reeve, dodged the bullet. Thank God I don't need to coach Caitlin Clark, man. Man, I can't deal with that. I would have had to swallow so much pride, I can't do that. Fee, she probably called him the Fee, talk to Caitlin, please. I can't coach her, I can't do it. This book's about to come out. You know what they're gonna be saying if I'm coaching Caitlin Clark and the book's out? Oh, God. Fee, please, Fee.
She's out here claiming she texted Caitlin Clark, asking to trade for Cheryl Reeve like she's some kind of basketball diplomat negotiating world peace. But let me tell you something. That's not just revisionist history. That's straight up basketball fiction with a capital F.
Yes, I texted Caitlin before to ask if we could trade.
So, boom, right there. She said, I texted Caitlin before and asked her if we could trade. Now, why would she ask Caitlin Clark if she could trade coaches? Now, I can understand that being her coach, but still, we didn't even know if that was a rule. So basically, y'all passed the buck on Caitlin because y'all knew if Caitlin would say it, the league wouldn't say nothing because she could.
The real truth? Caitlin Clark was done with Cheryl Reeve before Collier even knew what a trade was. This wasn't some friendly collaboration between team captains sharing smoothies and braiding each other's hair. This was Clark grabbing the WNBA by the collar and saying, I'm not dealing with your petty politics anymore.
So to God, Caitlin Clark, or what I like to refer to her now as Gangster Clark, heard Cheryl crusted blueberry muffin ass Reeve being salty in that press conference, throwing shade at the Fever and said, nope, get her punk ass up out of here. She ain't about to coach my team for the All-Star game, and that's why I call her Gangster Clark, because whatever Gangster Clark wants, Gangster Clark.
And if you think for 1 second that Clark needed Collier's permission to make this move, you haven't been paying attention to the Caitlin Clark effect, the phenomenon that's more powerful than gravity at this point.
Delete that tweet, but I feel like Caitlin might have been keeping receipts and she saw that. Also, it is good to note that Cheryl Reeve was the head coach of Team USA last year, and of course, they did not select Caitlin Clark. They did not bring her to the Olympics. And so with all of that, Caitlin said, you know what? Why don't we trade coaches, Fee? You can have your own coach and I'll take Sandy. And Fee was okay with that. It seemed like something they agreed upon before the draft, but that was a little juicy moment.
If you are enjoying, please subscribe. Let's talk about the elephant in the arena. The Olympic snub. Remember when Cheryl Reeve, as Team USA's head coach, had the audacity to leave the most electrifying player in women's basketball off the Olympic roster? When reporters asked if she had any second thoughts about not including Clark, Reeve's response was colder than a Minnesota winter. No, just not a thoughtful explanation, not a diplomatic deflection, just a flat-out dismissal that sounded like she was swatting away a mosquito, rather than addressing the omission of a generational talent.
That Cheryl Reeves will be the coach for Caitlin Clark's All-Star team. Not feeling this at all. This is the same woman who despised her last year, saying, I don't give two shits about Caitlin Clark. The same woman who really didn't want her on the Olympic team She was hell-bent about it, very open about it. Same woman who wore Black Girls Rock while playing Caitlin Clark, insinuating that Caitlin Clark is a racist, so she's gonna be, pandering to the audience. Like, I hate that.
But that wasn't where the disrespect ended. Before Clark even stepped foot on a professional court, Reeve was out there on social media throwing shade like confetti at a bitter ex's wedding. She posted cryptic tweets complaining about the attention Clark was receiving, using hashtags like #12teams and #the W is more than one player, as if Clark was somehow personally responsible for the league's marketing strategy. This wasn't coaching. This was jealousy masquerading as leadership.
Caitlin Clark and Napheesa Collier, they traded their coaches. They didn't trade any players in the draft. They traded their coaches, and a lot of people think they know why. So last year, Coach Cheryl Reeve had a few things to say about Caitlin Clark on Twitter. This was one of the exchanges. Cheryl Reeve tweeted about a preseason game and how the Lynx weren't going to be playing, and that the Lynx game, wasn't going to be televised. And so somebody commented, they said, "Is there a reason why it's not being shown?" And someone else commented, and they said, "Because they only care about Caitlin." And Cheryl Reeve tweeted, and she said that part. A lot of people felt like this was very unprofessional for a coach to be engaging in the fan commentary and especially calling out one single player that has nothing to do.
And let's not forget the cherry on top of this disrespect Sunday, when Clark was putting up historic numbers and filling arenas like she was Taylor Swift with a crossover. Reeve was still out there acting like she was some kind of inconvenience to the sport. The woman who single-handedly elevated women's basketball to unprecedented heights was being treated like she was crashing someone else's party instead of being the party.
Caitlin Clark was kind of used in this situation, that they initiated this to possibly get Cheryl Reeve away from Caitlin. Because we know Cheryl Reeve really don't like Caitlin, bro. She don't like her at all. Not even a little bit. And so they knew that if Caitlin was the one to say, you know what, let's trade coaches, they wouldn't say nothing.
Here's where the narrative gets spicy. As team captain, a position she earned by receiving a record-breaking 1,293,526 fan votes, Clark had every right to make decisions about her team. This wasn't some rogue move by a rebellious rookie. This was a franchise-altering superstar, exercising the authority that comes with being the face of the league. When you're selling out arenas in Brazil, Iowa, and commanding ticket prices that make people mortgage their futures, you don't take orders. You give them. The beautiful irony? Reeve was originally assigned to coach Team Clark because her Minnesota Lynx had the best record in the league. But Clark looked at that assignment like it was a participation trophy she didn't ask for. She wasn't about to let someone who spent months undermining her achievements suddenly get to bask in the glory of coaching her in front of a sold-out Fever home crowd. The audacity would have been staggering.
I don't know what's gotten into Caitlin Clark. You are leaning into this bad guy role. I love it. I don't know what's gotten into you, Caitlin Clark, but you've been on some I don't give a F lately. I love it. Oh my God, I cannot believe she just eviscerated and embarrassed Cheryl Reeve on national TV like that. They said, "Hey, would you like to make a player trade?" It's better yet, I'll do you one better. Get this fucking coach up out of here. Hey, Caitlin Clark ain't...
When Clark made her move during the live All-Star draft, she didn't ask for permission. She demanded it. "I don't know if this is in the rules. I don't really care," she said with the confidence of someone who knows the entire league revolves around her. Sorry, WNBA, if that's not in the rules. Sorry, ESPN, if that's not in the rules. But we just made it a rule. This wasn't just trading coaches. This was rewriting the playbook in real time. Clark essentially looked at the WNBA's carefully constructed system and said, "That's cute, but I'm running my own show now." And what could the league do? Tell the player who's responsible for their record-breaking ratings and sold-out arenas that she can't choose her own coach? Please. The ESPN broadcast team scrambled to keep up, posting trade alerts like they were covering the NBA deadline. But this wasn't chaos. This was calculated dominance. Clark had waited for the perfect moment, with maximum visibility and minimum opportunity for interference to make her statement. She wasn't just trading coaches, she was establishing her authority over the entire league structure.
I'm not sure. So that was what transpired in the midst of the game. Caitlin Clark, to her credit, shakes it off every single time, and she hit a big three and was screaming, "You like that?" at JC Sheldon, who she's had the back and forth with for the longest time, of course. Infamously putting Sheldon on the Summer Jam screen. Sorry, I blew my line. Infamously putting JC Sheldon on the Summer Jam screen, for those of you who get the reference, with this photo back then, and subsequently, in this game as well. And again,
Let's talk about who Clark chose to replace Reeve. Sandy Brondello, the championship-winning coach of the New York Liberty. While Reeve was busy tweeting about Clark, Brondello was winning titles. She led the Liberty to their first ever WNBA championship in 2024, making history and establishing herself as one of the league's elite coaches. This wasn't just about getting rid of Reeve. It was about upgrading to excellence. Brondello brings something Reeve never offered Clark: respect. She's a coach who understands that great players require great leadership, not petty politics and social media subterfuge. When Clark made this swap, she wasn't just choosing a different coach. She was choosing championship pedigree over championship resentment. This coaching swap represents the Caitlin Clark effect at its most powerful. We're talking about a player who can bend the entire WNBA around her will, who can make the league's carefully constructed rules irrelevant with a single decision. When Clark speaks, arenas fill. When she plays, ratings soar. When she makes a move, the entire basketball universe stops to watch. The WNBA might not like it, but this is their new reality. Clark isn't just a player anymore. She's a cultural phenomenon who operates by her own rules. She's proven that talent combined with star power creates a gravitational pull that even the league's old guard can't resist. When she decided Reeve wasn't worthy of coaching her, it wasn't just a personnel decision. It was a power shift that will be felt for years to come.
Bruh, tell me y'all just saw Caitlin Clark destroy Cheryl Reeves on national TV. I know y'all saw free smoke, ayy, free smoke, ayy, free smoke, ayy, free smoke. Bruh, Caitlin Clark want all the smoke. Caitlin Clark want all the smoke, bruh. Bruh, she just annihilated Cheryl Reeve on national television. I didn't see that coming. They asked Caitlin Clark, "Hey, Caitlin, are there any player trades you like to make?" Nah, I'm kind of set with my team, but I would like to trade coaches.
Now, back to Collier's claim that she initiated this trade. Look, we get it. Everyone wants to be part of the Clark story. But let's be real about what happened here. Collier saying she texted Clark about trading coaches is like the backup dancer claiming they choreographed the entire show. Maybe there was communication, maybe there was coordination, but the driving force behind this move was Clark's unwillingness to tolerate disrespect, not Collier's diplomatic skills. Collier even admitted that having Reeve coach her team would give them more chemistry and more synergy. But what she didn't mention was that Clark getting rid of Reeve was about more than chemistry. It was about respect, recognition, and revenge. This was Clark settling a score that had been building since before she even entered the league. The timing of this move couldn't have been more perfect. The 2025 WNBA All-Star Game is being held at Gainbridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis, Clark's home court. This isn't just any All-Star Game. It's a showcase in front of the fans who've been supporting Clark since her college days, the same fans who paid $670.00 just to watch her play against Brazil. With Brondello now coaching her team, Clark has positioned herself to deliver a masterclass performance in front of her home crowd. She's not just playing for individual accolades, she's playing to cement her status as the undisputed queen of women's basketball. And she's doing it with a coach who actually respects her game, rather than someone who spent months trying to diminish it.
How do you rate Napheesa's drafting skills? was going to get traded beforehand, before you and Clark did that, or was that just on the spot when that happened? So first for you, Napheesa.
Oh, I think Fee knows what she wants, so her draft picks were all great. I'm happy that she, got Courtney, she got Cheryl, so the whole Minnesota Lynx finna be there. So I'm happy about that. So she's a great drafter.
Yeah, watch out. I might be a GM one day. No, I would hate that job. Yes, I texted Caitlin before to ask if we could trade for Cheryl. So yes, it was pre-planned.
This coaching swap sends shockwaves through the entire WNBA ecosystem. Other star players are watching, taking notes, and realizing that if you have enough star power and fan support, you can reshape the league to your liking. Clark has essentially created a new template for player empowerment that goes beyond traditional team structures. The message is clear: respect the stars or get replaced. Coaches and executives who spent years operating in the shadows, making decisions based on politics rather than performance, are suddenly facing a new reality where the players with the most pull can simply opt out of their authority. This move wasn't just about personal vindication, it was about winning. Clark looked at the All-Star Game as more than just an exhibition. She saw it as an opportunity to validate her status as the league's premier player. With Brondello's championship experience and tactical acumen, Team Clark now has the best possible chance to dominate the All-Star Game and give the Indianapolis crowd the victory they deserve. Clark's decision-making process was surgical in its precision. She identified the obstacle, Reeve, found the solution, Brondello, and executed the swap with the kind of confidence that only comes from knowing you're absolutely untouchable. This wasn't luck or coincidence. This was strategic brilliance from a player who understands that championships are won both on and off the court.
Coaches. Originally, Cheryl Reeve was supposed to be coaching Team Clark, and Sandy Brondello was going to be coaching Napheesa's team. But Caitlin said, nah, let's switch. Fee, you can have your coach. But there might be something deeper. Wonder if Caitlin has been keeping receipts of some of the things that Coach Cheryl Reeve had to say about her, including this little Twitter exchange that happened last year. They were tweeting about the preseason game and that the Lynx weren't being televised. Somebody said, is there a reason why it's not being shown? Another user said, because they only care about Caitlin, and Cheryl Reeve responded, that part. Since fans have been calling her out about this last year and also this year.
Welcome to the Caitlin Clark era, where the traditional power structures of professional basketball are being rewritten in real time. This isn't just about one coaching swap, it's about the emergence of a player who has transcended the sport itself. Clark has proven that when you combine generational talent with unprecedented popularity, you don't just play the game, you become the game. The WNBA tried to contain her, tried to minimize her impact, tried to make her just another player in their carefully balanced ecosystem. But Clark refused to be diminished. She took their rules, their traditions, their hierarchies, and said, thanks, but I'll make my own. And the beautiful part? They had to let her do it. So let's stop pretending this was some collaborative effort between Collier and Clark. This was pure Clark dominance. A masterclass in how to wield star power when you've earned every ounce of it. Collier can claim credit for the idea, but Clark provided the courage, the platform, and the power to make it happen.
Clark, this is such a boss move. Say to hell with these people, man, because we are tired of all these salty-ass women in the WNBA, man. What a boss move, Caitlin. You see, Cheryl Crusted Blueberry Muffin, now you can go coach Napheesa's team, since you want to be a salty-ass clown and take the fun out of the All-Star Game, Goofy, because Clark is the face of the league, and whatever she says goes, Goofies. No matter how much y'all want to be emotional or hate on her, you punk-ass clowns, because guess what? Whatever Gangster Clark and Captain Clark says goes.
The 2025 WNBA All-Star Game isn't just going to be an exhibition, it's going to be a coronation. Clark has positioned herself not just to win the game, but to do it in front of her home crowd with a championship coach, after publicly rejecting the authority of someone who never gave her the respect she deserved. This is poetic justice at its finest, and it's all happening because Caitlin Clark decided that she's done playing by everyone else's rules. The Caitlin Clark effect isn't just changing women's basketball, it's creating a new blueprint for how superstars should be treated in professional sports. And if you're still not convinced of her power, just remember, she traded a coach during a live broadcast and the entire league had to smile and accept it. That's not just influence, that's absolute dominance. The revolution isn't coming, it's already here, and it's wearing number 22.